Yo, what's good, YouTube? Zamcro here, aka Scoot, back with the Draft League World Series, and we've got another speed tournament, and we've got so I uploaded the first one and the second one, and then the third one I didn't upload it. I didn't have enough matches I felt was for an um, adequate video. I think I had two battles where I won one. No, like I think I had two battles, and one in brackets where. Some guy used a Calm Mind Clefable and was able to break through my Bronzong with two critical hits back to back. So I didn't feel like that was even worth uploading, really. Um, I don't even know if it was a total of 3 games. But, anyways, then tour number 4 came around, and we signed up for it, but we were a few minutes late to draft or something. I'm talking literally like less than 10 minutes late to the draft or something like that. And they had already started and would not let me compete. So then uh, we finally, I think, I'm not actually sure. I think I actually hosted this one. I was the host. I did request it in the Draft League World Series Discord. They've got a nice organization going on there, and they're having a lot of these speed tours. It's so much fun, and I requested to be a mod, or at least to be able to host the speed tours because I enjoy them so much. Allows me to put out some more draft league content, allows me to test some things, allows me to practice with some certain mons, such as Coco. You see me use Coco a lot in these draft league tours. I'm actually about to use it in the Pokemon Battle Federation. So getting a little practice in with that's really nice, and I look forward to drafting Mega Pinsir in the future. And as you can see, those are my two first picks of this draft league. And speaking of it, we'll go ahead and talk about it. The whole draft. We picked up Tapu Koko, Mega Pinsir, Nidoqueen, the Latios, Incineroar, Cofagrigus, Breloom, and the Quagsire. So I feel like I have really solid synergy. Um, Again, I picked up Nidoqueen, it being one of the better checks to Coco. Nobody else has Coco now, so I'm able to. I mean, nobody else has Nidoqueen now, so I'm able to avoid that check or that bump in the road. Mega Pinsir's checked by Coco, and I have both, so I don't have to worry about that being a check for my Mega Pinsir. There's going to be some other things like Zapdos or the Thundies or something like that, but can work around those with Nidoqueen, the Lottie, and the rest of my squad, really. It's a little top heavy. If you look at my first 4 picks, they're like power picks, and then my last 4 picks are like low tier budget picks. But I feel like they're really, really solid at what they do. Like I picked up Quagsire. It gives me another ground type, and it gives me a water type. My team's a little bit weak to fire, a little bit weak to electric. Mega Pinsir, that is. Doesn't like stone edges either. And then I have Nidoqueen and Quagsire to switch in on that. It also gives me an unaware wall, which is really nice. A toxic recover one, and I have the ability to run a curse set, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I've got Breloom too, and I watched Jolt use it from the Token Minorities. I watched him use it in the GBA maybe, and he did phenomenal with it. And I've been wanting to use Breloom, so I drafted it as well. And then Kofag and Incineroar, they synergize really well together. And Cofagrigus is just a monster, and it gives me Trick Room abilities. So my team doesn't look like necessarily a Trick Room team, but like let's see here, a quiet natured Nidoqueen with Life Orb Sheer Force under a Trick Room is insane. Life Orb Incineroar Brave natured under a Trick Room is insane. Like these Pokemon can really do work, and like Quagsire, it's really slow as well. It doesn't necessarily have the best offensive move pool, but it has Earthquake spam, and that in itself is just really powerful in my opinion. I've always thought that Earthquakes were one of the more powerful, ground types, Dragon types, and Fighting types. So those are like the 3 hardest hitting Pokemon in my opinion. But yeah, this is gonna be my draft, and we've got a whole speed tournament, and we'll see how we'll cover all of our battles and see how far we actually gonna make it in this. Um, I think there was 13 people signed up, and there was four pools, 3 pools of 3 and 1 pool of 4. So, and I was actually in the pool of 4. So I actually have 3 pool battles that we're gonna hop into right now, and we'll be right back with that coverage. All right, so our first matchup is against Nerdathologist. I'm just gonna call him Nerd. He's got a pretty scary squad, and actually had 2 other threats that he didn't bring, obviously. The dock that we use for these speed tours are like immediately wiped clean, so I don't have his entire roster at my disposal anymore. But off the top of my head, I think, I'm trying to understand why I have the entire squad that I have. Well, let's talk about my squad a little bit. So I've got a Life Orb, Tapu Koko, which is a Calm Mind variant, 3 attacks, Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam, Hidden Power, Fire. I feel like if I can weaken his squad enough, and eliminate potential Choice Scarfers, or at least check for Choice Scarfers, such as Blacephalon and Hoopa Unbound in this matchup, and prevent things like Slurpuff from not getting its unburdened and whatnot. Life Orb Koko can go ham in the late game, especially if I can come in versus something like Mantine and set up a Calm Mind as as he switches out into like a weakened Ferrothorn or something like that. Then I can bop it with a Hidden Power Fire and then use my Dual Stab to run through the rest of his squad. I have a substitute Swords Dance Mega Pinsir with Frustration and Quick Attack. He has no resist to flying types, so I felt like this was a pretty solid bring, and I feel like things like Mantine, Ferrothorn, and maybe like a defensive Slurpuff couldn't really break my sub. I have quite like almost 100 EVs in HP or so, and I've got enough speed to outpace like Hoopa Unbound, and then was able to run an Adamant Nature. So +2 Swords Dances, or yeah, a +2 Quick Attack from an Adamant Mega Pinsir is doing quite. I like it. It drops a Blacephalon no matter its HP investment, which is really nice. And then we've got a Black Sludge Sheer Force defensive Nidoqueen. It's there for the Slurpuff. I felt like if it comes, it's going to be like potentially a Belly Drum variant, and having a way to be able to knock that thing out, or at least check it with Nidoqueen or weaken it for Mega Pinsir is really nice. It's my designated Stealth Rocker. I have Earth Power, Sludge Wave, and then Ice Beam. If you look at his squad, you can see that Ice Beam doesn't really hit anything. So obviously he had something on his squad that Ice Beam would have hit harder. But I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, which is a little bit unfortunate actually. Anyways, we have a Cassib Berry Latios, so that if something like Blacephalon gets out of control, I can at least chip it down. I take one Shadow Ball with this thing and be able to click Psychic or Draco. I think I would click Psychic so that I don't miss and able to guarantee some chip. At least put it in range of Mega Pinsir. And then we've got a Focus Sash Breloom with the Adamant Nature, and we've got Bullet Punch, Mach Punch, and we've got Protect on there. Protect allows us to scout things, such as Blacephalon going for a Fire type move, which allows us to easily go into Incineroar and stuff like that. And we've got Swords Dance on Breloom, so it could also be a late game win condition too, and sets up all over Ferrothorn, which is really nice. And then we've got a Choppleberry Incineroar with Intimidate, Fire Punch, Knockoff, U-Turn, and Taunt. It is our switch in to Hoopa Unbound. It has enough bulk to be able to take any hit on any side and threaten it with U-Turn and get rid of the items on things like Mantine. Be able to switch, Mantine or anything really. He doesn't. If you look at a squad, he doesn't really have a switch in to Incineroar. Incineroar is a huge threat outside of Mantine. And if I had like Thunder Punch or something like that, it would be even worse. So that's something to think about, especially going into the matchup. And speaking of matchup here, looking at team preview, his only rocker is Ferrothorn. So I don't necessarily believe he would lead with that, because Incineroar's easy lead for me. So I felt like just trying to scout out what he actually wanted to lead with. I do lead Incineroar because it was my best lead. Like I mentioned, it matches up well versus everything except Mantine, and I have easy switches into Mantine. I could go into Koko and just click Thunderbolt. I could go into Latios and just drop a Draco or to start firing off some Psychics. So the fact that he actually leads with Ferrothorn puts me in a solid position, and I can go for a turn 1 knockoff here. There's no reason not to. There's no way he's staying in there, and I get rid of the Mantine's Rocky Helmet, which is really nice for Mega Pinsir. I'm going to hard switch out to my Latios here. Looking at the matchup here with the 6 mons he actually brought, he's very weak to Koko, so I didn't necessarily want to go into that. I don't have Roost or anything or any kind of recovery, so I felt like going into Latios was fine because I do have Roost on this bad boy. So yeah, I'm just going to go hard into it here as he roosts up, and I'm going to click Hidden Power Fire, predicting his Ferrothorn, and he does go into the Ferrothorn, and it does way over half, so an easy 2-hit KO here. And there's no reason for me to click anything other than Hidden Power Fire here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that again, and he does drop and brings in his Hoopa to revenge kill me. And I'm going to go straight out into my Incineroar. He gets a critical hit, but it's still not going to matter. The only unfortunate thing is he steals my Chople Berry, which doesn't really matter since he's not weak to fighting types, meaning Chople Berry is kind of useless to him. And I know he's not a Z-move user because he was a no-item Hoopa. So that gives me some valuable information that Blacephalon is more than likely his Z-move user. Anyways, I can just click U-turn here. It's going to drop this thing as he goes for the Drain Punch, I believe. And I'm just going to bring out Lottie here. It gives me... the only thing he could have went in here, I guess outside of the Cryogonal, would have been the Slurpuff to threaten me. I would have stayed in versus Blacephalon and dropped it with a Psychic into Psychic, unless it was Scarf, and then Psychic, and then sacked off my Incineroar, and then went into like Mega Pinsir to drop it with a Quick Attack or something like that. But I really expected him to go into a Slurpuff here, and then I could just hard switch into my Nidoqueen. But he just goes into the Cryogonal here. I don't necessarily know what he's going to go for, but I want to see his set here. I'm going to go for the Psychic and get a little bit of chip damage. And he goes for the Freeze Dry, and he gets a not a critical hit, but he gets a freeze, which is a little bit unfortunate. So I'm going to try to thaw out here. He shouldn't be able to knock me out here. And he goes for the knockoff and gets rid of my item. My Cassie Berry's gone now, which is unfortunate, but I am frozen, so it doesn't really matter at all. And I'm going to try to thaw out here, but he actually hard switches into Blacephalon. I wasn't able to get, thaw out or anything. And he goes for the Flame Charge. And I don't think he's going to be like a physical attack on Blacephalon. I think it's just for a speed boost. So I'm going to go into Nidoqueen here, which has enough bulk to live any one hit, even at +1. And I almost drop him with the Earth Power here. Not quite able to. And since he does have the Slurpuff still, I'm going to get rid of Incineroar here instead of letting Nidoqueen go down. And I can just go into Mega Pinsir here and revenge kill this thing pretty comfortably here. Not too big of a problem. And things should be a-okay from this point. Now I'm going to hard switch into my Koko because he has no Thunderbolt switch-ins. So I don't really care about longevity or, how much HP I have. So you can just click Thunderbolt here, Thunderbolt here, Thunderbolt here. I know this thing's not Scarf as it revealed leftovers earlier. So Thunderbolt's a 2-hit KO. Now he can bring in Slurpuff, but I can just go hard into Nidoqueen or just click Thunderbolt here because I'm going to be able to... 2-hit KO it, and then Mega Pinsir would clean up. But he doesn't have any offensive investment, it seems, and I was able to survive his play rough, knock him out, and then able to knock out the Mantine with the Thunderbolt as well. So that was a really fun match. Tapu Koko put in the work there pretty much, and I felt like Lottie, those predictions, the turn 1 knockoff prediction, and then the turn 3 or 4 prediction where I got the Hidden Power Fire on the incoming Ferrothorn, I think that really changed the match. But that's going to be game 1, and we can hop into game 2, and we'll be right back. Alright, so for game 2, we're facing off against Gliscor Guy. Again, I'm not going to be able to remember his entire squad unless I see something on my squad that, reminds me why I brought what I brought. But yeah, he's got a scary squad. As you can see on screen, he's got the Landorus Therian. He's got a Scizor. That's not Mega Scizor. I think it's Mega Slowbro. He's got Terrakion, Aromatisse, Snorlax, and the Mega Slowbro. So I think he's got a lot of options here for Trick Room. So I was definitely prepared for that. I didn't necessarily bring speed control or anything like that, but I do feel like I have a solid squad here. So we've got a Magnet Tapu Koko, where, we're spamming Thunderbolt outside of clicking Hidden Power Ice versus Landorus Therian. We've got Taunt and Roost. We can prevent Snorlax from doing any kind of shenanigans. Same thing for Scizor, Aromatisse, and Slowbro. They're not going to be setting up on me. And if it came down to it, like 1v1 versus Terrakion, and I thought it could potentially be like a Rock Polish or a Swords Dance variant to win, I could taunt it as well and prevent it from doing anything like that. I've got the Mega Pinsir here. We're rocking Swords Dance, Substitute, Frustration, and Quick Attack. Basically the same set as last time, except this time we have to rock Jolly so that we can outpace Landorus Therian always. And we don't need any kind of coverage outside of just frustration, and quick attack. So being able to spam this thing is really nice in this matchup. And we've got the Incineroar here, kind of out of place. It should be at the end, but here it is sitting in the middle. We've got leftovers. We've got Fire Punch, Knockoff, U-Turn, and Taunt. This thing is kind of a switch in to Scizor, like a pivot, kind of intimidate it and U-turn out as it switches. That's the idea behind it anyway. Otherwise, an SD Scizor could be very, very problematic. And then we've got Nidoqueen here, which is going to be another rocker. And then instead of like having any kind of specific defenses, it's just max HP, max speed with a little special attack investment. Stealth Rocks, Earth Power, Sludge Wave, and Ice Beam. Has coverage for his whole squad, and Ice Beam there for the Landorus Therian. And then we have a Choice Scarf Latios. So this thing is kind of a lure, such as like a Scarf Landorus Therian thinks it's going to U-turn out on me. No, it's going to drop to an Ice Beam. Scizor or Snorlax is going to come in to take a Draco. I'm going to try to trick them. So, and then spam Psychic in the late game. That's the idea. Dropping Dracos is nice too, versus weakened Landorus, weakened Terrakion, weakened Slowbro, so on and so forth. But for the most part, it's here to be able to click Ice Beam and drop a Landorus Therian before it could ever be problematic, and always revenge kills one as well. And it's able to outpace a Scarf Terrakion if he was to bring that to try to catch my Pinsir off guard. Not necessarily catch it off guard, but always be able to revenge kill it, always forcing the quick attack instead, as well as being able to outpace Koko, which is definitely something to think about as well. So we have our last Pokemon is Breloom, which is a Focus Sash variant. We've got Leech Seed, and that's just to disguise my set. I'm actually a Swords Dance Bullet Seed Mach Punch set, so Leech Seed's there only to disguise my set. And yeah, looking at his squad, especially what he brings, I think either Landorus or Terrakion is going to have rocks, and I think it's going to be one of them. Whichever one has rocks, I think it's going to be a Scarf Rocker. I don't know exactly, I don't know. I just got this feeling that he's going to have a Scarf Rocker, and I felt like Latios was my best lead because it leads well versus both of his rockers, being able to OHKO both of them with Psychic and Ice Beam respectively, as well as being able to, if he leads like Scizor, I can go hard Incineroar. If he leads Snorlax, then I could trick it into item potentially. So we'll see what he's going to lead here, as I'm definitely going to lead with my Latios here. And he does lead with the Landorus Therian. And this is best case scenario for me. I just click Ice Beam. It's no drawback play no matter what he does. I'm just going to click Ice Beam. And yeah, he does just drop to the Ice Beam there. That went as well as expected. And I'm going to go straight into my Incineroar here and intimidate this thing as he goes for the Swords Dance. So at this point, I can just U-turn out or click Fire Punch. I'm just going to click U-turn. Just U-turning out here is a no drawback play for me. He's definitely going to switch out here into like a Terrakion or Slowbro. Terrakion covers a knock too, as well as the Fire Punch or Flare Blitz. So Terrakion's a very fine play here. He could also go Lax too, but I don't really see him wanting to risk a knockoff here. So I think he's going to go into Terrakion. I'm just going to U-turn out here. And he's going to actually reveal to be faster than me and knock me out with a +1 superpower. Fortunately, that weakens him. And I can just go into my Latios here and trick it, just in case he wanted to set up again. Or I guess he feared Hidden Power Fire. But being able to trick this thing into having a Choice Scarf, and now it's locked into Psychic, I'm able to go into my Nidoqueen, easily survive these hits, and I'm able to go into Mega Pinsir afterwards, which is really nice for me, and allows me to set up a sub. I'm going to click sub first to see if he can break my sub, and it was a roll, but he got it, so I'm not going to try again. It would lower my HP too much. I'm just going to spam Swords Dance here. I'm faster, even him having a Choice Scarf. I'm still faster than him, and I'm just going to click Quick Attack versus everything now. I don't have a reason to not click Quick Attack versus things that could potentially be faster, such as Scizor going for Bullet Punch or Terrakion going for Stone Edge. But yeah, I'm able to Frustration and Quick Attack's just going to be able to clean this game up for me, basically. Mega Slowbro's not able to live a +3 Frustration there. Mega Pinsir's just that strong. And yeah, it's going to picked up a nice 4-0 victory there with a Mega Pincer sweep. And Mega Ladio set that up by tricking its scarf away. So that was really nice. And good game to Gliscor. I don't know if I mentioned it in game 1, but good game to Nerd. Good game to Gliscor here. And we're 2-0 in our pool so far. And we've got one more game left, and we'll go ahead and hop into that. Alright, so our third game is going to be against Collenberg, and he had a pretty scary squad too, and as you can see on screen, he's got some water spam, and he definitely, he didn't have any ground types, which was something I noticed almost immediately, so I decided I was going to bring a Choice Specs Tapu Koko with Toxic, because his two potential switch-ins are going to be the Rotom or the Raikou. And then being able to Toxic one of those, and then spam Volt Switch all game, Choice Specs, Volt Switch all game, puts me in a fantastic position. I also have a Thunderbolt and Dazzling Gleam on the set, which is pretty much expected. Not too much to say about it really. Just spam Volt Switch the whole game. I can lead with it, Volt Switch out versus everything on his squad, and then go into whatever might be the best play for me, or at least maybe not the best play, but at least like a mid-ground play or something like that. Anyways, Mega Pincer is a Swords Dance variant with 3 attacks: Frustration, Quick Attack, and Earthquake. Earthquake's there specifically for Raikou if it wants to hard switch in. Versus my Mega Pincer, it will take some damage if I see that coming anyway. Obviously, it could be Rotom Heat, and then Earthquake would be immune, be doing no damage, stuff like that. So yeah, that's something to consider. But we have a Black Sludge Calm specially defensive Nidoqueen. It's there to check the Raikou as best as possible, which is my best check. It also checks Rotom Heat, and that's really it. And I'm packing the Shadow Ball for Mew. I think Mew's an easy switch in. I have Earthquake there too, so that things like Calm Mind Raikou can't be too huge of a threat, and it's going to do more damage to like Calm Mind Mew, Calm Mind Keldeo. If it if I have to not sack anything and just sit there and spam something until I die, I would like it to be doing the most damage possible. But and it is my designated Stealth Rocker. So we've also got a Focus Sash Breloom once again with Mach Punch, Bullet Seed, Drain Punch for recovery versus things like Mega Sharpedo, and then Spore there to put things to sleep. If I could put Mew to sleep, I would be in a really solid position to spam my Mons almost as freely as I want. And then we've got a Max HP, Max Attack, Adamant Incineroar with Taunt, Knockoff, Fire Punch, and U-Turn. This thing is smacking things, and able to taunt things like Rotom Heat, Mew. Obviously, Mew could taunt me first, but yeah, that's something to consider. Quagsire is pretty much a wall to Mega Sharpedo, and has Earthquake, Scald, Toxic, and Recover, which is really nice. So I think the squad's pretty solid versus him. I don't see any kind of standout things that would be super duper threatening to me, outside of like Mew and the Mega Sharpedo, and potentially Suicune as well. So yeah, that's the squad. We'll go ahead and hop into the replay now. His only potential Stealth Rocker is Mew, so I felt like leading Koko is fine. I don't think he's going to lead with one of his electric types. I can lead Koko here, get up my electric train, and fire off a Specs Volt Switch. Does over half, and I go hard into my Incineroar as he goes for Earthquake, so that was a fantastic play there. But what I can do here is go hard into my Pinsir, as it will bounce off. So Pinsir eats that. It's not really too much damage, and I'm just going to be able to fire off a Frustration. But it was so likely that he went into Raikou or the Rotom, and I didn't know which one he would go into, so firing off an Earthquake there was basically not the play. So what I decided to do was double out into my Nidoqueen, expecting him to go into Raikou or the Rotom, and he does go into the Rotom. As I get my rocks up, he Will-O-Wisp and burns me. So now I'm just going to fire off a Sludge Wave, no reason not to, and Suicune eats that up, and if this thing is Calm Mind, I got to get the hell out and do something about it. So he goes for a Hydro Pump. It gets a critical hit, and it does so much damage to my to my Breloom that Breloom's basically non-existent in the matchup now. However, this Bullet Seed does quite a bit to the Rotom. Reveals to not be super defensive or anything like that. And then he goes for the Overheat as I go into Quagsire, and he gets a critical hit once again. Nearly knocks me out, and I'm going to hard switch out into my Nidoqueen to avoid being burnt. And then I can just fire off a Sludge Wave once again. No reason not to. I could fire off a Shadow Ball, predicting the Mew to come out this time. But I've been making some aggressive plays, and as you can see, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to double out into my Koko because he revealed Suicune to be his switch in to Nidoqueen initially. So I doubled out into my Koko here, and it worked out perfectly because he went into his Coon once again. And I'm just going to fire off a Specs Volt Switch. As you can see, it's doing almost 40% to Raikou. Insane to me. And I go for the Mach Punch here. And what I was doing here was just trying to put this thing in range of Koko. And I actually get a crit, so that's a little bit unfortunate. I don't know his investment or anything like that, if that mattered. But he goes into his Rotom here, and I'm just going to Mach Punch that as well. It's way too low to try to come in versus me. And we're able to get the Mach Punch knockout there. And Bullet Seed misses out on the knockout, but that's okay. He gets a critical hit with Scald here. So this is a nasty match back and forth with crits and stuff like that. It's just making me sick. I don't even like playing games like this. But I'm going to go back into my Koko. Mind you, this thing's Specs. And I'm just going to start firing off some Life Orb, Choice Specs Thunderbolts in the electric terrain. And I'm just bopping these things left and right. He doesn't have an answer. His best way to knock me out is to go into Mega Shark, Protect, and get a speed boost to outspeed me on the following turn. But he reveals to not have Protect, and my Koko is going to go ham and pick us up a nice 5-0 victory. And like, I felt like this game was decided basically because of how powerful my Koko was and my aggressive switches, and I felt like that really put the match in my favor. Anyways, that's going to be it for Game 3. We finished 3-0 in our pool play and have a solid showing so far, and be able to go into the brackets with a lot of momentum with potentially 3 more matches. So we'll go ahead and hop into the bracket rounds. Alright, so here we are in Game 3, and we're facing off against GD Sky. I think Sky Splitter, where we have where he has a Nidoking, Shaman, Thundurus, Therian, Charizard X, Conkeldurr, and the Aurora the Alola Ninetales. Anyways, we've got the Tapunium Z with Nature's Madness, so we're doing 75% with our Nature's Madness. We've got Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, and Dazzling Gleam. Just 4 attacks here. Nothing too special about Koko. I thought about running Taunt, and I really should have over, I think maybe Volt Switch. But we've got Mega Pinsir with Swords Dance, Frustration, Quick Attack, and Close Combat. Close Combat is there for, I think he had Tyranitar or something. Anyways, we have a Life Orb Nidoqueen with a Modest Nature. And no speed investment, max HP with 0 speed IVs. Earth Power, Sludge Wave, Brick Break there for the Aurora Veil, and we've got a Stealth Rocker. And this thing is really, really nice. You'll see in a second we have a little bit of Trick Room essence going on to the squad. And this thing under Trick Room absolutely murks my opponent once things like Conkeldurr and Nidoking are weakened. So that's really, really, really nice. So yeah, we've got a Life Orb Latios as well with Draco, Psychic, Thunderbolt, and Roost. And this thing gives me really nice, like, Revenge Killer to a non-Dragon Dance Charizard. But that's, I've got Thunderbolt there. I actually forgot what Thunderbolt was for. He didn't bring what it was for on the squad, obviously. I don't really remember what it was either off the top of my head. Anyways, we've got Cofagrigus, which is our Trick Room setter, Shadow Ball, and it's our Toxic Spike setter as well. Forces Nidoking in more than it might want to be in, and allows me to be able to Trick Room up and then Memento in front of something to weaken it. To weaken its attack potency anyway, and then bring in Life Orb Nidoking, or Nidoqueen afterward. So looking at his potential Stealth Rockers, he only has Nidoking. So what I'm actually going to do is lead with my Koko, And I'm going to fire off the Tapunium Z immediately as he reveals to be Scarf and predicts me to switch out into potentially the Latios, which made sense. I can understand his prediction there, but now I know he's Scarf and I know he's locked into Ice Punch, so I can play accordingly here. Go out into my Pythagoras after I just did 75%, and what I can do is I take the sheer force ability away, and I can set up Toxic Spikes here and force in the Niddle King before it wants to come in again, which is really nice. Or else Conkeldurr and the Alolan Ninetales will be hit pretty hard. Anyways, he goes for the Dark Pulse, as I predicted him to go for Thunderbolt versus my Kofag, and I go into my Lottie. And he goes for the Dark Pulse and does way over half. I drop a Draco, which actually eliminates him, which is really nice there. But now he's able to bring back in his Niddle King. Gets rid of my Toxic Spikes, and he's able to knock me out here with the Ice Punch. But I'm going to go out into my Kofag. No reason not to. And what I can just do here is set up a Toxic Spike again, or I can make a double. And he's going to switch out into his Conkeldurr here, which is a fine play. I'm just going to set up Toxic Spikes. It forces in the Niddle King before, his other grounded mons could ever come in. And I'm going to go hard out into my Koko as he goes for knockoff. Like, that was his only way to hit Pythagoras. So I felt like, he's definitely clicking knockoff. I don't see Poison Jab coming out. Drain Punch I would have tanked anyway. So I'm able to go out into Koko here and click Drain Punch. It doesn't do enough to him. Reveals probably Assault Vest. But I am going to be able to survive the Mach Punch here. And I'm going to be able to knock him out on the following... not really knock him out, excuse me. But I'm able to put him, in a bad position. Able to Volt Switch out into my Mega Pinsir. And then it forces in the Niddle King, which I'm able to Quick Attack and knock it out as well. So I just got rid of Conkeldurr and Niddle King back to back. And now he brings in his Charizard. And I have to stay in here and just click Frustration. There's not a reason not to. I don't need Mega Pinsir necessarily anymore. My way to win this match is under Trick Room with Niddle Queen, which can definitely be happening. So yeah, my play here is to Frustration and then Quick Attack the Charizard, which was able to knock him out, sack off my Lottie, and then bring in Pythagoras here to Trick Room. And what I'm actually going to do here is I could Memento, I could hard switch out, but I definitely think like Mementoing is the play. It gives me the most Trick Room turns for Niddle Queen. And hard switching into Niddle Queen versus Alolan Ninetales would be silly considering Blizzard. But yeah, under Trick Room here, we're going to be able to fire off 2 Life Orb Sludge Waves and take out the Shaman and the Alolan Ninetales back to back, which is really, really nice. And yeah, that's going to be that game, and that's round one of bracket play, I believe. And we'll be right back with round 2 and see if we can win that one as well. Alright, so our third pick, or not our third pick, but our third bracket play is against Wurmple. And he has a pretty scary squad. He has, as you can see on screen, the Dragalge, Megalop, Zapdos, Tyranitar, Uxie, and the Chandelure. A few other threats as well. Obviously, don't have access to what they were. But as good as Zapdos is versus Mega Pinsir in the Counter League format, I can run Stone Edge. So it's not the best check to me, and I felt like Mega Pinsir could go ham in this matchup. Also, just running 4 attacks in this matchup. Jolly Nature, 4 attacks. I'm able to outpace the Zapdos and everything below. Got the Frustration there for basically his entire squad outside of Zapdos and Tyranitar, which will drop to Stone Edge and Close Combat respectively after Stealth Rocks, bar any like Charty Berries or not Colas, but Chople Berries. And then I got Quick Attack there for being able to revenge kill a weakened Mega Lopunny, weakened Chandelure, so on and so forth. We've got a Poison Point defensive Impish Natured Niddle Queen with Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Ice Punch, and the Roar. Roar's there so that things like Cosmic Power, Mega Lopunny can't be too big of an issue, and Dragonance Tyranitar can't be too big of an issue as well. And Ice Punch is there to hit the Zapdos, the Dragalge. I guess Earthquake hits the Dragalge as well, but it hits the Uxie for neutral damage. And then we've got a Focus Sash Breloom with Sword Dance, Mach Punch, Bullet Seed, not Bullet Punch, and Spore. And we've got the Iapa Berry Incineroar with Knockoff, U-Turn, Fire Punch, and Earthquake with a Sassy Nature, Spadef, and defensive. Kind of don't really care about speed, want to be able to get slow U-turns off. And we've got the Earthquake there for the Dragalge and and the Tyranitar, which is really nice. And then we've got an unaware Quagsire. It's our check to like Dragonets, Tyranitar, Power Up Punch, Mega Lopunny can just can 1v1 those. We are a curse set with Earthquake, Waterfall, and Recover, so that's really nice. His only potential Stealth Rockers in this match are Uxie and Tyranitar. I do expect him to lead with one of them, so that allows me to lead off with my Nidoqueen. I didn't mind if he led Uxie because I could just hard switch out into my Incineroar. But here I'm just going to take the opportunity to get up my Stealth Rocks as he goes for Earthquake and does over half, which is a big chunk to me. And I'm going to go for Earthquake here and try to bop him. But he goes out into his Uxie here. And I think my play is to just go hard into my Incineroar like I mentioned earlier. It's likely that he gets his rocks up, but there's not really much I can do about it. And yeah, I'm just going to run out to my Incineroar. He does get his rocks up, but I can just get me a slow U-turn out into basically anything as he goes out into Tyranitar, which is actually really nice for me, especially because I go for the knockoff. I felt like, I guess it was the better play versus everything except the Mega Lopunny, and gets rid of a Tyranitar's Assault Vest, which is good for the late game for things like Tapu Koko, which is a Choice Scarf Tapu Koko, because, you know, it can revenge kill Mega Lopunny and whatnot. Anyways, Quagsire can just recover up here. I could spam Earthquake. I am going to click Surf here. I mean, not Surf, but Curse, as it allows me to better take on Tyranitar and anything he would have wanted to switch into. But the fact that he could have went for a Draco there and knocked me out with an Adaptability Draco, I'm going to go hard into my Koko here and not let that happen. And then just Volt Switch out. Can go into Nidoqueen here on the Sludge Wave. But this man, he dropped another Draco. Are you fucking kidding me? Man dropped a Draco in front of Koko, dude. That was dope. Dope play there. Anyways, I can go into Mega Pinsir here. This thing is weakened, and I can just fire off a Stone Edge, predicting the Zapdos. And I'm able to catch it upon switching, which is really nice. And I have to go for it again here. Frustration was a roll if he was max defense, so I didn't want to risk it. And was able to just knock him out there. I can go out to Quagsire here. It serves no purpose as he goes for Trick Room actually. And Quagsire under Trick Room with curses is going to be phenomenal for me, as I'm going to be able to get slower and slower every turn, and I can start spamming Waterfall and Earthquake. Most likely Waterfall, since he has no resist outside of Dragalge, and he has one immunity to Earthquake. So here he's going to knock me out if I don't attack here, so I got to attack and get a little bit of chip damage off. And this will get rid of, I think, one last turn of Trick Room. Yeah, he's got one last turn of Trick Room, so I'm going to go into my Incineroar here and try to prevent him from getting up another Trick Room as he goes out into his Tyranitar, which is a fine play. And I'm just going to U-turn out. I had no reason to do anything else. I can go out into my Breloom here. He could stay in here and attack me. I could set up a Swords Dance. There's quite a few things I could do there, but there's no reason to, as he still has Chandelier. Set up a Swords Dance would be obsolete, basically. He's going to go out into a Shandy, though, and I'm going to go hard into my Incineroar as he goes for Fire Blast, and it's going to be able to knock me out if my Berry didn't pop. But thankfully, my Berry popped, and now I'm in a really solid position to just click Fire Punch here. Reason being is that this thing could come in on knockoffs all day, so getting off a Fire Punch and potentially burning this thing would have been really, really nice. Anyways, he's able to finally knock me out with his Mega Lopunny. I'm going to go out into my Mega Pinsir here, and I can click Quick Attack to knock him out. But he goes out into his Dragalge, but I'm going to be able to knock this thing out in the following turn anyway. So now Dragalge is no longer a problem. But what he could do is get a Trick Room up with his Uxie, which is actually really, really scary to me. But for some reason, he wants to sack off his Chandelier and then go out into Mega Lopunny and click Fake Out. And I'm able to survive and knock him out with Quick Attack as well. So he just sacked off Chandelier and Mega Lopunny, but it makes sense now since Uxie couldn't take a hit. You see there? At first I was confused because I thought Uxie could take any one hit and be able to get Trick Room up, but thankfully I was able to knock him out there with just one frustration. So that puts me in a solid position here, and we're actually going to be moving on to the finals of this tour. So we'll be right back with the final match. Alright, so our last matchup is against Deranged Lime, and this is actually his first tour, and he has went undefeated in the tour so far, and has a pretty good showing. and has a pretty scary squad as well. If you look at on screen, this is 6 of his 8 Mons: Scizor, Nihilego. I think that's Mega Scizor, by the way. Nihilego, Zygarde 50%, Sylveon, Rotom Wash, and the Mamoswine. We have Tapu Koko. We've got the Fairy MZ with a modest nature, Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam, Taunt, and U-Turn. Having enough speed to outpace at least up to Nihilego, as you can see on screen. Pinsir, obviously, also speed creeping Nihilego. We've got a Jolly Nature with a bulk up set this time, bringing some bulk up, Frustration, Quick Attack, and Close Combat. Close Combat is there for the Rotom. I think I should have went Swords Dance now that I look at it, but I felt like bulk up was nice versus like 1,000 arrows spam from Zygarde. So I've got Nidoqueen here with a Shuka Berry, and we were quite bulky with some special attack investment as well. We've got Stealth Rock, Sledge Wave, Earth Power, and Ice Beam. We have a Life Orb Latios with Psychic, Hidden Power Fire, Calm Mind, and Roost. Mind you, our Nidoqueen is 0 speed IVs because, again, we're rocking a Trick Room Cofagrigus, where Nidoqueen and Incineroar, and potentially Cofagrigus as well, will love Trick Room in this matchup. And then, like I mentioned, Cofagrigus is Trick Room, Shadow Ball, Calm Mind, and Pain Split. I thought about Haze for the Scizor, for the Zygarde, for the Calm Mind Sylveon. Ultimately decided against it though, and felt like, being able to Calm Mind up myself was pretty nice, and having Pain Split recovery is really nice. My opponent doesn't have any Ghost Resist. And then we've got Incineroar, which is a Adamant variant. Didn't run Brave. I needed Adamant in this matchup just in case some of his other things that were really slow underneath or outside of Trick Room couldn't outspeed me. And then we've got quite a bit of attack investment, but we've got a little bit of Spadef, a little bit of defense, and quite a bit of HP investment as well, with Flare Blitz, Darkest Lariat, Earthquake, and U-Turn with the Life Orb. So that's going to be the Mons. It's going to be the Mons for the squad. Love the squad. And yeah, we can hop into the preview here. So his potential Stealth Rockers are the Mamoswine and the Nihilego. So ultimately, I don't want to lead like with my Nidoqueen, because he could lead Mamoswine. And Mamoswine's a huge threat to my squad. So what I want to lead with is my Koko. And reason being is because I'm going to assume that he's wanting to get his rocks up here, and I could potentially 2-hit KO him with Twinkle Tackle into Dazzling Gleam, depending on his set. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the Twinkle Tackle and see if I can knock him out here, or see if he sets up rocks here. It does 61%, and he just goes for the Earthquake. So that was a fine play by him, and at the same time, as much as it hinders me not having Koko, I'm able to weaken Mamoswine, which was, in my opinion, the biggest threat to my squad. So now, without Koko, I don't really have to mind Trick Room all that much. I can use it a lot more freely and not worry about my Koko being fast under Trick Room. I'm going to go for Close Combat here, predicting his Rotom to come in and see how much damage I can do to it. But he goes into Scizor instead. I'm going to Hard Switch out into Incineroar, as he just goes for the Toxic to poison me. So now I can U-turn out. Quite a few different things I could do here. And that's what I am going to do, is just U-turn out. He actually goes out into his Sylveon and allows me to get in my Nidoqueen here, which allows me to get up Stealth Rocks. And he brings in his Rotom, so he could potentially defog them away. But at the same time, I can just go into Lottie here and not really be threatened too much. And I'm going to go straight for the Calm Mind and see what he wants to go into here. And he goes hard into his Mamoswine. I know he's going to click Ice Shard here, and I don't necessarily want that to knock out my Lottie just yet. I go out to my Incineroar as a pivot, and he goes out into his Sylveon as I double into my Mega Pinsir, predicting the Earthquake. I think that was a fine play as well. I could have came in and clicked Quick Attack versus the Mamoswine. It was weakened enough for Quick Attack to knock it out, and I wouldn't have had to take Ice Shard damage. But he does go out to the Sylveon here, and I'm just going to attack it. I don't have a reason not to. Getting this thing out of the way is really nice for my Lottie. And yeah, just clicking it here. He does get a critical hit there with the Hyper Voice, which matters because it puts me in range of Bullet Punch, puts me in range of Extreme Speed, puts me in range of Ice Shard, which is really, 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 really unfortunate. Thankfully, he just goes out into his Scizor, though, and roost up as I switch out and go into my Incineroar here, where an adamant life orb flare blitz does 43% to what I'm assuming is a defensive Rotom. And that's just awesome. And I'm going to go for the Darkest Lariat here. Obviously, he is able to outpace me. I am really slow. And Darkest Lariat drops Nihilego. Just straight up drops it. And now he brings in his Mega Scizor once again. And I'm just going to click Hidden Power Fire here. I have no reason not to. I am Life Orb. Bullet Punch couldn't knock me out. And that was a roll definitely in my favor. Or if not, guaranteed knockout depending on his set. And now he goes into his Mamoswine here. And I'm just going to get some chip damage off. But he actually is able to knock me out with his Ice Shard, which is really nice for him. I can go into Mega Pinsir here and just reveal my Quick Attack being faster than his Ice Shard. And now he's going to go out into his Zygarde. And this is where things are going to get scary for me, because I really predicted him to go for the Dragon Dance there. And now I'm going to go for the Trick Room, as he goes for the Devastating Drake, which I'm able to live because, you know, I EV'd myself to be able to live a +1 Devastating Drake. And I'm going to go out into my Nidoqueen here. I know I can take 1,000 arrows into Extreme Speed thanks to my bulk. And what that allows me to do is hard switch in and not really fear the knockout with thanks to my Sugar Berry. So I guarantee live that. I guarantee live the Extreme Speed, no matter his set, and I'm able to click Ice Beam here and knock out the Zygarde under Trick Room. Rotom is in range of Sludge Wave here, and I can just click Sludge Wave for the knockout. And Nidoqueen coming through underneath Trick Room twice. So that's going to be a good game to Deranged Lime. Had a fun tour. Good game to everybody else, in case I didn't say that after the battle. Had a really fun tour and enjoyed seeing these people prep and battle. But it was really fun nonetheless. But yeah, it's going to be a good game. And look out for the next one. Let me know what you thought about all these battles in the comment section, please. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.